Most DJ gear reviews start with features: more buttons, more effects, more channels. But actually, I think the real question here is actually much simpler than that. What if some DJs are no longer looking for more gear? They're looking for less hassle. And honestly, I think that might be exactly why products like this are suddenly becoming popular. Because this isn't really being sold as a performance monster. It's being sold as a self-contained DJ setup that removes a lot of the usual faff. And I think that's the bit a lot of people who reviewed this product in the past have completely missed. Because if you're a club DJ playing every weekend, well, this isn't aimed at you. But if you're somebody who just wants to switch something on, have a mix, maybe just sit in the garden with a drink, maybe do the old family party, suddenly this thing makes a surprising amount of sense. And Numark clearly know this as well. Look at the way they're marketing the thing: portability, battery power, outdoor use, and making DJing feel easy again. Yeah, now obviously there's going to be a certain type of DJ watching this and already rolling their eyes, because compared to a traditional setup, yes, you absolutely give some things up. You're not getting a massive club system. You're not getting endless expandability. But I honestly think that misses the point of what this thing is trying to be. Because this thing is really designed around convenience. Simple inputs, simple setup, built-in speakers, battery power. It's trying to remove barriers between you and actually mixing the music. And honestly, the touchscreen setup is a big part of that. You're not constantly staring at a laptop. Everything just feels a bit more direct and a bit less technical. And honestly, I think that's why so many older DJs or returning DJs seem to connect with this thing. Because after a while, a lot of people stop caring about having the most professional setup in the world. They just want something that's quick to start, enjoyable to use, and doesn't feel like setting up a small IT department every time they fancy a mix. And that's really where this thing starts to shine. Quick setup, no laptop, battery-powered, built-in practice speakers. It feels much closer to simply enjoying music than managing technology. Now, this is probably the point where some people are going to get a bit of a shock, because despite how simple and approachable this thing feels, it is not cheap beginner gear. And I think it's important to understand before we get carried away with the whole easy standalone DJing idea. You're definitely paying a premium for the convenience side of this setup. Because what you're really buying here isn't just DJ hardware. You're paying for the portability, simplicity, and the setup that removes a lot of technical friction from the whole experience. Now, personally, I think whether this makes sense or not depends entirely on what kind of DJ you actually are. Because if your dream is club booths, festival stages, and huge technical setups, you'll outgrow this pretty quickly. But if what you really want is a clean, self-contained system that gets you mixing quickly and keeps the whole experience enjoyable, then I can absolutely see why people end up loving it. Because this thing really is designed around fast, uncomplicated mixing. No laptop setup, no cable spaghetti, just switch it on and you're pretty much ready to go. And honestly, the more I played with this thing, the more I realised it's aimed at a very specific type of person. Not the DJ chasing status, not the DJ trying to impress other DJs. More the person who just got into genuinely enjoying mixing music and wants a setup that makes them want to do it more often, not less. And I think that's the real strength of this setup. It lowers the effort needed to start actually mixing, which means people often end up using it more, simply because it feels less like work. So, does that mean this thing is perfect? Not remotely. There are definitely more powerful and more expandable DJ systems out there, but honestly, I don't think this deck is trying to win a specifications war. I think it's trying to make DJing feel approachable, portable, and enjoyable again. Because at its core, this thing is really about convenience. portable, self-contained, quick to start. And for the right person, that simplicity is probably the whole point. So I think the real question with a Mixstream Pro Go isn't, is this the most advanced DJ system you can buy? Because clearly it isn't. The real question is whether removing complexity actually makes you more likely to DJ in the first place and enjoy it. And honestly, for a surprising number of people, I think the answer to that is probably yes. Because sometimes the best gear isn't the most complicated. Sometimes it's the gear that removes enough friction to make you actually want to use it. So overall, I actually think the Mixstream Pro Go is a much more interesting deck than I expected it to be. Not because it's the most advanced controller on the market, but because it understands that a lot of people are no longer looking for maximum complexity. If you do want to check it out for yourself, I've put a link down below in the description, and as always, that does help support the channel. But honestly, I think the important thing with this product is understanding who it's really for. It's not cheap beginning gear. It's more like premium convenient setup for people who value simplicity enough to pay for it. And if you're somebody who just wants DJing to feel approachable, portable, and enjoyable again, then I can absolutely see why people end up really loving this thing. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you've used one of these yourself, I'd genuinely be interested to hear how you got on with it.